this video begins, I wanted to say that it has taken a very long time for me to make this and a lot of effort overall, but luckily I finished up the project in its entirety and it's looking good, and I gotta say, it's a very good time overall, but I'm not gonna spoil that for you, don't you worry. I wanted to give context for this though, because I actually ended up hitting the 100 subscriber mark a little bit ago, maybe over a month and a half ago, and I know that the channel's at 120 something subscribers now, which I really do appreciate. Thank you all very much. I don't know who half of you are, but I really do appreciate it nonetheless. But the reason I say all this is simply because at the time I was not able to record the video in its full because I had not finished the project yet, but luckily I have now, and all I really had to do was kind of just go and, well, upload this video because it's all done and edited, so good times overall, I'd say. But the reason I say this is simply for context because I said the video took a very long time to produce. So without further ado, I think we should begin and go back to the intro that I edited about 4.5 weeks ago. What? It's a Hello and welcome to the Mr. Clean channel. I am your host, Mr. Clean, and I'm going to be telling you today about what has happened and why I'm pretty excited about it. Recently, the channel has finally hit 100 subscribers. It's not a massive number, it's nothing giant, but you know what? It is definitely good enough for me considering the channel is fairly small and, well, not much has really happened except for all the stupid things I've done. So I made that little intro to commemorate everything, and I figured that it would be something fun to do to kind of go through the old videos and just have a little compilation of them. I also wanted to announce that I'm probably going to change the channel name, and I know some people are going to go like, "Awooga," and they're going to just explode, but I know, listen here, everyone always has an impossible time finding it. If you look up Mr. Clean, you're going to come up with another 1,000 results, but you know what, I'm going to keep it to the, to the spirit of what Mr. Clean was, and I'm going to keep it as... I've changed my mind since I recorded this clip, so I'm just voicing it over because I don't want you to hear what the last name I thought of was. I think that stays true to the original motto of this channel of the Mr. Clean thing, and well, I think it does it right. And if anyone doesn't really know what the Mr. Clean thing was all about, like 2 years ago, my profile picture was of Mr. Clean, and now I changed it to my original profile that I got now, and it's just a fiasco that, the channel name is now Mr. Clean. I won't beat around the bush, and I'll get right on to it. So let's start this video properly with a typical Mr. Clean intro. Hello, welcome to the Mr. Clean channel, soon to be known as...
I'm doing another voiceover because I said the name again.
I said that I'm going to be changing the channel name, and yeah, well, I think I kind of have to, just so it'll be easier for people to find overall. However, welcome to the 100 subscriber special. Am I making a bigger deal out of this than I should? Yeah, but hey, I don't really care. I'm having fun with it, and I think you all are too. I got like 113 subscribers now. Things couldn't be going better. Anyhow, I figured I'd do something special for this, and that I would bring back something that has been gone for a while, and I think it needs a little more love because I haven't, actually done this in quite a bit of time. It's a project that I did a very long time ago that really didn't actually finish it the way I really thought I would. The point of the matter is, it was back when I edited things not very well, and I didn't really edit it down to the 10th of a second like I do now. I didn't put a whole ton of effort into it. The machine was not really all that good. Sir Speedo could ride it, but not very well. Overall, it wasn't as good as it could have been. The machine of which I'm talking about is the bike chair, a project that I built I think over a year ago now. It might have been less, I don't recall, but I built it a while back, and honestly, it worked, but it didn't work as well as it could have, and well, I figured that if I should do anything for this 100 subscriber special, I can't talk, I figured the one thing that would make this special really truly something special is that I actually do this again, and I rebuild the bike chair. It's gonna be a lot different with the 2.0. It's gonna gonna have different things, different materials, and overall a different build scheme to it, but it's not gonna take as long, and in fact, I'm going to build the entire thing in one day.
No, I said that 2 weeks ago.
The reason for this is because I actually am already using a frame that I pretty much already have got, and it already has a set of wheels that I bought that I could just stick onto it, and you're probably thinking, what on earth is that? It is a mobility walker! My mother got, like, a surgery thing a while back, and she needed to have this to, so she could walk, because it was just something that she couldn't really move around all that much for about a week, and the problem was, she didn't really need this, actually. She was basically fine after, like, a day, so after this, she had it sitting in her room, and she looked at me and said, "Hey, do you want a walker?" Naturally, I responded yes, because I thought, oh, I could do so many things with this, and then, when I brought it up to my room and looked at it for a bit, I thought, oh, this would make a pretty good, like, chair with all the wheels on it and everything. And then I looked up. For the past year, I have had the Bike Chair's license plate right directly on top of my shelves and right above my desk, and it's kind of been just there for the whole time. Of course, it's not an actual license plate, but a project that Sir Speedo and I made, and we printed this out and we stuck it onto there. It was overall something that I thought would work out pretty well to put on the bike chair, but the bike chair's gone now because it took up too much room and I didn't really use it, unstable and everything, so it's just been sitting here for a bit. And I looked at this and I thought, let's do it. Now, the main material that this thing is going to use is wood, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of 2x4, classic 2x4, and we're going to stick it directly between this here. So, you have this, right? And what you do is you take a piece of wood, and it goes across here to here. I put a slab of wood directly in the middle here, which will act as the seat, which I will then cover with some foam to make it like an actual padded chair thing. And this will be the back of the chair. And I bought a set of swivel wheels that work for this, because the original wheels right here are stationary, so I couldn't really use those very well. But I am going to take those wheels in the back, and I'm going to drill a huge hole through it, and I'm going to add in some wheels that I bought myself. By that I mean these behemoths of wheels that are 10 inches in diameter and have a bore size of 5/8 inches, and that is pretty big because, well, you know, it's ridiculously large. But you know what? It will actually work fairly well, because if I undo the little bolt here, what I can do is you can actually see that it basically fits, like, perfectly, like, just exactly the size you need for this, where, the chair leg is about, like, you know, this thick, maybe an inch. I've got at least 2 inches here that I can then put a washer over the top, and then I can just stick my bolt directly on there. I mean, it really couldn't be going much better with this. Now, to stay true to the spirit of the bike chair, what I'm going to do is I'm actually gonna fix some stuff with zip ties, just because of the fact that that's what I did with the last one, and that might have been a reason why it wasn't super strong, but I feel like I need to implement that with this, and it'll just make things easier overall. So the way I'm gonna steer it is the bottom swivel wheels. They have a little metal plate on the side that holds the wheel in, but I'm realizing it has a tiny little gap between there, which is just big enough for me to fit a zip tie, which it'll be able to go in there and fit perfectly fine without it actually binding up the wheel. So I fit that into there, and then I stick a little rod of wood sticking out of the side. Same going for the opposite side, which can basically make it so that I can steer it with my feet by putting my feet down on them, and I turn it by pulling back and forth. I mean, you know what? It'll work. I think that covers all the bases. That's basically all I have to tell you about this thing. That's all the materials mentioned. I already mentioned the wood, the wheels, basically everything I need to say about this. So I think that all that's really left to do is for me to time-lapse this thing, and we can get going with it. So, pals, friends, whoever the hell subscribed to this channel, come on and let's have some fun, across the sides of the actual chair thing here, so I have that stuck over to the side, which I'm going to put the wood plate across here, but now I'm going to be putting on the wheels just so I can kind of get that done quickly. And I'm thinking I'm going to put the swivel wheels in the back actually, because I tried to ride it, and while it does ride well, I keep feeling I'm going to fall forward. I don't know if I ever will or not, but I feel like it'll look funnier too with larger wheels in the front, so I'm kind of doing that. But in order to do that, I have to take off the wheels off of the previous little things here. I'm going to hammer out that little thing here. I'm going to use that hole as the pilot hole for my larger thing. I finally managed to get the holes drilled, and I gotta say, it took quite a bit to get a hole this large drilled into it. You're probably thinking, oh, you just used a big drill bit for that. No, I had to use a bunch of drill bits to progressively get up to this point, and I had to buy this drill bit because this is a 5/8 inch drill bit, which means it does not come with basically any normal drill kits. This drill bit was $17 because who needs that large of a drill bit? No one, nobody does it. This is like it was already hard to find a 5/8 bolt, let alone a drill bit for it. No one uses it. That's why it's so expensive. Anyhow, why don't we go over to putting the wheels on, because this is already done, and that's all I have left to do. So off we go. Hey, what's up? So obviously you can see that this thing currently works, but it's not fully done yet. It is currently 8 o'clock at night, and I feel that I'm actually just going to finish it up tomorrow. I thought I was going to finish it all today, but some stuff came up, and I was looking for some stuff for a bit. I lost something. Give me a break, all right? But you know what? It's almost nearly there, and all I have to do now is add a seat in here, and I have to figure out a way to make these sticks have a little more traction on the ground, because they kind of have a bit of difficulty doing stuff where just the little point here isn't going to cut it. So I'm going to have to find a way to affix something down to the thing here, and I think I'm just going to make it 3D printed. I'm going to design a little thing to go on the end of these and super glue it on there. I'll have something great. It'll be done pretty quickly, so yeah, I'm excited for that. So I decided to swap out the wheels for the big ones in the back and the small ones in the front, really because the ones in the front can swivel and the ones in the back cannot, and it's kind of like trying to steer a car backwards when they're not in the front. So overall, it kind of just makes more sense to do it that way, because essentially what you end up getting is like, if you start moving in one direction, you can't change direction because the turning wheels are in the back. It's counterintuitive really, so I just changed it like that. I added the seat plate, which is going to be very nice. This was going to be the footrest because I put them on the front here, but I just decided to move them to the back. But it adds a little bit more rigidity to the whole thing, and I'm going to add another wood pole going from here to here, here to there, and then a footrest up here. And then I realized that because this whole area is going to be open down at the bottom, I can add like a basket in there with like cup holders. I mean, like, come on. This thing is great. And before you ask, oh, is it stable? Oh, you bet your ass it's stable. I've been riding the thing for the past like 10 minutes, and yeah, it does ride fairly well. It's kind of hard with the sticks, but I'm going to make the things for the bottom of that, and I think actually some of the 3D printed rocket pieces will be exactly what I need to make a little holder on the sides for it. So honestly, it really couldn't be going much better right now. So yeah, I'd say things are going fairly nice. It's the next day, and I came down here, decided to start working on this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to, as said, put a little bit of wood from this side to that side, so I'm going for the opposite thing, and then a footrest over here, because if I do that, that means I'll be able to make the thing a lot more stable, and it won't have a risk of like breaking during riding it. So I'll be able to give it a little more strength overall, and it'll just be nicer in the long run of things, because if I'm going to be using this a lot, I don't want it to break beneath me. And these wheels are not really suited for outside things, so I'm going to have to replace them every once in a while. But luckily, I can just take the wheels from beforehand, I put them in there, but I can take the wheels that were back here, and I can just stick them right onto here once those are completely gone. I can probably buy replacements for pretty cheap too, so I'm not really too worried about that. If you're wondering why I didn't just buy a pair of wheels that turn when I could get them with tires on them, shut up. That's my response to that. Look, these ones affix directly to the walker. I didn't want to pass up an opportunity to buy something as simple as that, because I didn't want to build a whole new mechanism to make it swivel. It's easier, okay? I just didn't want to build something else. Anyhow, I'm going to cut over to when that's done. Alright, and here we are. I took some more big rods of wood and I stuck those into the sides to kind of give it a little more support, as stated previously. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm going to make the 3D printed parts for the poles over there, which I'm going to make it kind of just have it opening up in the top here that I can stick a big piece on, so I can get more like traction and everything. It'll be better in the end. But yeah, I'm going to go up and we're going to make that file right now. So it's been nearly 2 weeks since I recorded that last clip, and a lot of stuff has happened in the meantime. I've been working on other projects, I've been doing a ton of other stuff, and it has eventually led to me having the bike chair directly up in my room, where I am, this is where I'm going to be storing it permanently for when I do end up, storing it anywhere. But the whole thing is that I had to redo all those, like, the leg things that I was using to push off with. I originally made them in a couple extra little bits of video clips, but they just didn't work, and I'm going to be remaking them in this portion. I turned it into a goddamn Flintstones car.
As it turns out, the things, they worked pretty well in terms of moving it forward. However, I neglected the fact that they would actually be heavy to the point where when I try to move them forward to push forward again, it literally just takes out every bit of momentum that you create with them. Essentially, just as soon as you try to move a second time, it just stops the thing. So me being the genius, big galaxy brain foe of the universe that I am, and by that I mean me being the total moron that I am, I thought, why don't we remove the footrest entirely, and then we just move it with our feet, and then use the original pole. The actual treads, I bought 2 extra elbow joints for them in case I wanted to connect them to make a giant square, and that's exactly what I did. I'm not going to show that now because I'm going to use that for another video later on, and I'm going to make it absolutely ridiculous. But you know what? I think that this is the best I can do. See, I don't have any bike things, I don't have any bike parts, I don't have anything that I can do to make this pedal, so instead, we're gonna make a Flintstones car that I can move with my feet, which frankly, I find a bit funnier.
It's been a couple days since I recorded the last clip, and one thing I realized is that a lot of the time that the wheels are moving, it's binding up because of the fact that there are no washers on there. So I bought a couple new ones, which I can now stick between the wheels and the nuts that make it move, so that'll make it, it'll just turn better, and it won't bind up as much because it won't be going up against the sides of the legs of the chair, so it'll make it a lot easier to move, and overall I think it'll just work better, which I'll transition to now.
Guess what I did? Oh, are you surprised? The thing actually works. This is an incredible time. I managed to get this thing working perfectly, and the wooden rod does exactly what I need. I didn't need to do any of that work like I originally thought to. I spent money on stuff I didn't need and time, but you know what? In the end, I got it to work simply with a wooden rod and some wheels.
Wheels are back on now. I just need to lock in the threads, and I think I'm gonna do that with good old-fashioned flex glue, because that stuff tends to work pretty well. And I'm gonna lock in the threads of those wheels, and then I'm going to actually do something right now before I do that, and I'm going to add the license plate to this thing. You're gonna think, oh, license plate? Oh, that's right, we're bringing it back. Now this is gonna be quite easy. All we gotta do is just take the plate and then take a screw that we would normally just stick right on into that, and we're gonna screw it right through the surface of it, which then we can screw into my little mounting thing that I made, which is a piece of wood that's gonna have a screw sticking out of each side of it, one of which goes into this side and the other one goes into the chair. Isn't that just looking nice? Alright, I've inputted the license plate, and now the only thing that I really have left to do is, everything. I decided to add a little bit of a plate up front here to kind of make it a bit easier to sit down, because having this whole, just this little area here makes you want to fall off. So I'm adding this little thing here, and if that's still not tall enough, I can add another little thing on top of there. But I don't have enough screws that are long enough to, fix that to there. So, what am I going to use? Okay, it is the next day, and I have actually gotten a lot of stuff done with this thing. I actually flex glued the wheels down as I said I'd do, which I think that's going to definitely be pretty nice when I end up starting to ride with it, because the thing is not going to bind up anymore, and they're not going to unscrew. I just spun them around, and they work pretty well, but I actually ended up flex gluing down the entire front little board here, and I gotta say, I finished up the bottle of the glue, and thank you, Flex Glue. You've helped me a lot. That was my original bottle from probably a year or two ago, and I finally finished it. So it definitely had some use. I'm gonna use sheet metal to cover the sides and the back of this thing. It's gonna be glorious. All right, so I put on the little wood rods once more. Now I'm gonna be tracing out the little sides out of sheet metal, and I'm gonna be making one of them on there, and then I'm gonna trace that piece onto another bit of the sheet metal here, which I'm then going to just stick onto the sides via either screw or zip tie. I ran out of zip ties, so we'll figure out how that goes. But all in all, it's not going to be too bad. And off we go. I cut out the 2 steel plates to put into the sides, but I think that it would be more goofy if I just fixed it up with tape, so I'm just gonna flat out take electrical tape and wrap it around the little bars here, and I think that'll just look a lot better too, because it'll have a little black border. It'll be good. All right, we have got the first side on, my friends. We got that one on the ground that still needs to be put on, but we have this right here, and I'd say it's looking pretty good. I'm gonna put on the back afterwards, and then I'm gonna put on that side
But I might have to take a break because, well, you know, storm. I can see the blue sky through that, so I'm assuming this is going to pass pretty quickly. But I can basically guarantee you that within the next couple minutes, it's going to start pouring down rain. And once that's done, we'll all be able to come back out here and keep on working. I'm back downstairs. The rain has stopped. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why aren't you time-lapsing or recording most of the time you're building this? Well, did you ever consider the fact that it takes me hours to edit these videos? And with a very small audience, albeit one that I do think is nice to have, it's just, I don't know. I don't really have a huge incentive to record every single piece of this. But you know, it'll be done, and that's what matters. Would you look at this thing? You got the license plate, you got the back, you got the walls. It is perfection at its finest. All I have to do now is just add in the little holders for the stick things, and then I can actually get this thing to be properly, you know, finished. But hey, the thing works, and it does the job just fine. It's actually, you know, I gotta say, it really is quite nice. I think I'm gonna get a little bit of a paint job done. As stated before, I'm gonna paint the inside of that so it doesn't look the yellowish wood color that it is. I might paint it silver or black, and I'll add some more red in. I think it'll, you know, it'll just be good.
Now, I figured I'd give this thing a paint job with the Iron Man colors, because I think that's kind of fitting for something as dumb as this, and it's already got the red and the silver, so I figured, hey, it kind of works out. So I'm going to be painting the seat a bit yellow and some of the other things red and silver. It'll, good time, it'll be good.
Don't think I'm gone, by the way, just because the time lapse is going. I'm always here.
Alright, my friends, the paint job has been applied, and I even added the holders for the ski pole things. I used 2 segments of the 3D printed rockets, which actually worked out quite perfectly for this little application here. It's definitely going well. I didn't get all the full time-lapse stuff on here because I realized that my phone was actually shut off during some of the time-lapses when I thought that I turned it on, so I didn't really get the part where I made the seat, but you did see me do the little silver part and red bits. But aside from that, it's definitely seeming to look good. You know, it really is quite funny. I thought today would be the final day of the bike chair build, and that I'd be able to get this all done and dusted, and I could get everything kind of finished up, but being the weather that it always is, if you can see outside, yeah, it's gonna storm. So we will cut to most likely tomorrow when that happens. Today is the day, everyone. We're going to finally ride the bike chair somewhere, and it is going to be the finale of this video, and I'm finally going to be able to actually edit this thing. We are going to be riding over to a McDonald's. That was the entire reason I made this, just so I could ride this stupid thing to McDonald's and get a milkshake. Without further ado, I think we should finally get this thing over with. Oh, hell yeah. Well, it's going pretty well so far. I rode it all the way down from my neighborhood in there around into here, and the bit of the issue is that it's just really hard to ride, but so far it's gone well. I've rode like a mile. But it is, as said, excessively hard to ride. It is really, really difficult. It's very tiring, and what I think I might do half the time is I might just wheel it like a wheelbarrow while running. Why am I not recording all this, you ask? It's really hard to record on this thing, and the tripod bounces the phone out every time I hit a bump, so that's a bit hard to do. I gotta ride back to the house to stock up on more water and some stuff that I might eat in case the chair breaks down or anything, but we should be in for a wild ride because there might be a storm. I stuck my phone on the back of the supporting rod on my tripod, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna flat out time lapse the way there. So I think we should just, you know, we head out.
side of the sidewalk here resting a little bit, and you're probably wondering why I'm not, you know, just pushing and riding through the whole thing like I should be. Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever considered the fact that this is probably one of the hardest contraptions that you could ever possibly ride?
My God, we're nearly there. Finally. Hello. Well, annoyingly enough, they would not pick me up at the window because I think that I was not making the sensor go off or whatever they use to detect people at the door, so I'm just gonna flat out go inside and order a milkshake, but at least I rode over here. Milkshake acquired.